Yo, 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 what's going down? Happy Sunday morning. Happy week 2 to everybody on this beautiful, I guess it's still summertime Sunday here as we get ready to, it feels still kind of summer. So as we get ready to dive into week 2, the fantasy football show pregame kickoff. We got your bets, we got your props, we got your DFS, we got your start sit questions. So happy Saturday morning to you, Mr. Wilcox.
It's Saturday. Oh, nice.
Oh, Sunday. I told you it's been a long week, bro. Holy God.
It's like another Saturday for you?
I mean, listen, the 5 I got last night, that's about it, man. So I guess it makes sense why I'm still operating in Saturday mode.
It's all good. Happy Sunday, man. Happy football Sunday it is. What a week it's going to be. Going to be full of ups and downs. Heartbreak, potentially. I'm ready for it all.
Nah, no heartbreak today. No heartbreak today, man.
Just one of us is going to have some heartbreak. We face each other one of these this week.
I know. We'll see how it goes. I can't wait for that already.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck to you. Good luck. I hope you come in second place.
Hope you come in second place as well.
I hope you come in second place, man.
Let's hope for a tie.
Oh my God, no, that would be terrible. I don't want a tie. No ties. No ties.
Oh man, no ties. He said no ties.
Yeah. So man, we got some crazy stuff today, man. We got obviously we got 49ers, no QB today, no Brock Purdy today. So that's a little bit wild. Yeah. And we've got the Jags and Bengals, the battle of bad defenses that everybody and their mother's probably going to be getting to from the DFS side. So that only means that it'll probably be 27 total points scored in that game. So it's just like it's just how it always goes, man. So I guess, man, you ready to get this rolling or what, bro?
Always. Let's rock it.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. All right. Oh, I guess we double click. We're still double clicking. Oh man, got the Bears at the Lions today. The Bears plus 6 points, 46.5. The Ben Johnson Bowl. Neither one of these teams really showed. I'd probably say the Bears showed better than the Lions did, but I think it's okay now because we've seen what Green Bay did to Washington on Thursday Night Football. So Ben Johnson Bowl, man, here. Week 2, one of these teams in the division is going to start 0-2. What you think, man?
Well, I think from X and O standpoint, in order for this game for I would say like Detroit getting them, 6 points, minus 6 points. It's a big line for a division game, especially for the way they came out. I guess things will have to, in terms of changing, like that offensive line for Detroit. We even talked about Detroit not even looking the same like they were. Detroit averaged 2.1, yards per carry last week, and Goff was sacked 4 times while getting hit 9 times by that Packers defense, which obviously we know the Packers overall is might be one of those defenses that it's going to be a holdover for all your season-long leagues upcoming, and they're going to be a team in general defensively that could probably carry this Packers team a bit in some games, especially later on in the year when the weather starts getting colder, stuff like that. So that's something to obviously watch out for. Morton, their offensive coordinator, is not concerned whatsoever. He basically said they're being addressed, it's getting fixed, stuff like that, which I believe, but it's you get 6 points at home to a Chicago team that, did look really nice for about 3 quarters. And then obviously the last quarter, they kind of debacled and buckled. But obviously that's also some of the injuries they had to sustained, obviously coming into it. They didn't have their 2 starting corners. I believe they're back for this game, especially Jalen Johnson, who's definitely a shutdown corner. So I think that the Bears getting 6 points here is very intriguing. Obviously Ben Johnson coming into town knows this team, knows it basically in and out for most part. Because they kept most of the pieces here. It's not like it's a whole new team that he doesn't know and all these different pieces. So give me Chicago plus 6 in a dome environment. Caleb Williams, I think, can definitely – I'm looking for Caleb Williams. And this is one of my kind of hesitancies with him in a way. The reason why I wasn't on him as big was because, again, Caleb Williams has sometimes choked up in certain situations. This is a spot where I'm picking the Chicago +6 in hopes that Caleb Williams is going to showcase that he was every fiber of being selected number 1 in this draft class the year prior. And I need that pedigree to show up, because the only way Chicago is going to be moving forward as a team and a unit and going to have any aspirations for playoffs in general, is they get a win in this spot. But obviously, I think 6 points for a road team division game. We always know division games can get very up and down. But give me Chicago the +6. I'm just not sold on Detroit's offensive line just yet enough. I mean, that was like the core of their whole, I feel like, on how they turned everything around. Because again, what starts great teams? Good offensive line, good defensive lines, showing line of scrimmage. If you're not doing that, then you're not going to be sustaining yourself over time. So, like I said, give me Chicago +6. And give me the over, because I do think this game can go back and forth. This game sort of reminds me of the Thanksgiving game last year. But obviously Chicago has, an updated side offensively now. And I expect these guys to come out and do what they need to do, at least to cover the 6. So, I mean, I'm up to, for the +6, in my opinion.
Yep. No, I like the Bears in this spot too with the +6. So I think we're in the same space. I will not stand for you already started to trash my man Caleb Williams.
No. It wasn't a trash.
No,
it wasn't a trash.
No, you said choked up. No, yeah, you said choked up. Yeah.
Oh,
that's all right. I'm not going to start this Sunday morning.
I'm just trying to put some emphasis on, look, this is the reason why, people were kind of Caleb Williams, I think, is a great talent. It's just more of he just needs to showcase it in moments like these, and I need him to show up today.
No, that's all right. Listen, hey, my guy, riding with him, like I said, I won't stand for it. So, Caleb Williams, I like Rome Odunze, man, on the DFS side of things. Kind of jump into that space, like him a lot.
Cool.
Not aggressively owned. A lot of players in this space aren't aggressively owned. So I think, if this does end up being a game that does shoot out, definitely a lot of players here that have a lot of high potential. As far as from the DFS side of the world, one of the guys that really sticks out to me is your guy, J-Mo. His road and away splits are significantly different when he's at home versus when he's on the road. So I think that's a call out for sure. And I will tell you right now, talking about Caleb Williams, if the Lions line up and play man, they almost played man 50% of snaps last week. So if they line up and play man like that again, I do think Caleb Williams will have a pretty solid day for sure on the DFS side of things. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, man, that's another one, man, that last week didn't really live up to expectations. And granted, the Packers look really good, but this game just overall, there's a lot of players that aren't owned. Sam Laporta is actually the highest owned player on the FanDuel side of things at 12%. And then when you look at the wide receivers on the other side here, as far as DraftKings go, with the same group, we are looking at, of course, I had everything here. We're looking at, as far as ownership goes, well, I guess it's not going to do it. Everything's not working today. I love it. Jahmyr Gibbs at 15%. So, not a bad place for him overall, 15%. So, I'm taking the line. I'm taking the line, the Bears straight up. I'm taking the Bears in the points. And then if I had to mess with the over under, I think I'm just going to take a hard pass on it because I don't feel good about it either way. So I'll take the Bears plus the 6 points.
Cool. We are in alignment. Cool.
All right. Game 2. The Cleveland Browns, a.k.a. the Cleveland Vols, against the Baltimore Ravens. Against the Baltimore Ravens, 12.5 for the Browns, plus 12.5. So this is a game I think that could be very, very interesting in a lot of different stances. I think we've talked about the Browns running a lot of plays as they always do. And then the Ravens coming off of the letdown from Sunday Night Football, where Josh Allen and the Bills came back from 15, 16 points.
16 points down the last 7 minutes of the game.
Yeah, to pull that one off. And then obviously the big news of the day is Quinshon Judkins. Looks like he will be active and he will have a role in some space here during this game today. So obviously fantasy managers will be sitting on pins and needles to see what his usage looks like. And then, yeah, so I don't know. What do you got in this space, man?
Well, according to Ian Rappaport, yeah, Judkins going to have a set snap count as basically as a backup running back, so to speak. So that is where that's not something I'm solely concerned about. And a game that they are, again, double-digit underdogs. Like, you got to think that it's going to be another Samson situation if they get down early. There's a lot of smack talk, obviously, in this game already when it came from Grant Dolphin, safety for the Browns, talking about, how, is it hard to tackle Henry and stuff like that, and all that storyline that comes with it and all the energy that comes with it. So I expect this game to get hard hitting very early on. And obviously for Derrick Henry purposes, 8,200 on DraftKings, probably going to be the top highest owned running back on slates. So that's good chalk there. I think Derrick Henry has the ability to go off for 2 or 3 touchdowns. Look for his first touchdown, prop as well for probably decent odds. Probably not the best odds, but probably decent odds for plus money as a first touchdown scorer. But again, look, I think the Ravens, this is one of those situations where it could be a trap game because the Ravens in general defensively, like, they didn't showcase themselves very well. Obviously not closing out the game where their offense really basically just uplifted them constantly throughout the game. And, again, defense just couldn't stop anything. So obviously that's Josh Allen. Now we're dealing with Joe Flacco, stationary quarterback. We already know what it is. But what I will say is that, the Ravens plus 12.5, it would make, minus 12.5 would make some sense. I probably just don't want to touch this game in general for my betting side of things. But always give me Derrick Henry as probably a lock for your DFS contest this week because, we're looking for probably 3.5x for Henry. He could easily get 28. He could easily get 35, like in this spot today. But shout out to everybody in the chat. Yo, Jay, what up? What up? Charlene, good morning. What's up? Yeah, it's a complex system, Caleb. It's going to take time. He said he'll be back.
Yes. No, man. I was like, so I'll rock with Jamie, man. He got my back, man.
Oh, yeah.
Up, man.
Yeah. Whatever. You guys are best friends. Whatever.
My dude.
Whatever. Your analysis on this game?
Yep. Man, for
Samson?
me, like
Samson season?
I would say he's gonna be heavily involved, obviously, I think, because like you said, the probability of them playing from behind is pretty high in this game, for sure, especially with Baltimore wanting something to prove from the side of things that happened last week. But the other thing too, man, is it'll be interesting to see what they do from a personnel standpoint as far as the Browns go. Looks like last week on 36 of their 71 possessions, they used 2 tight ends. So does Harold Fanning get involved again? Does he have as much run as he had last week? That'll be an interesting piece to see. That's something I'm going to monitor. Is he's a guy that, like, I do have in a lot of my DFS lineups at 3,100 on DraftKings. I just think like the way today is shaping up as far as from a value side of things, he's a guy that, like, all right, like, let's do it. But like, I mean, there's not really a lot more, man. I mean, it's the Browns and the Ravens, right? We expect the Ravens to come out. We expect them to handle business. 12.5 is a little bit much. I think we'll see. But I would probably go with the under in this game. And then, like, I was just trying to look for a reason to, like, from a DFS side of things to, like, get into the Lamar Jackson side of the world. Couldn't really find a good reason to, man. As far as like some of the value that's there at quarterback, I did play in a 20 max entry on FanDuel. So I did run him out there in a couple of those. I did stack him up with Mark Andrews, who was kind of a no call, no show. And then the wide receiver 1 from last week, Zay Flowers, just made me eat every single word that I had with sauce and barbecue sauce and seasoning. Literally. So I blame the Cleveland Browns for that. So obviously, all that means is that today Zay Flowers is going to do absolutely nothing. So we are so back. Week 2, we're so back, man. So back.
So back. If you guys haven't done so, please like us. Like the video, subscribe, follow us on Twitter if you haven't. First time here, show some love. If you got any questions for us when it comes to your season long, your DFS, whatever you got going on, drop it in the chat, and we got y'all. Next game we got your beloved Steelers. Seahawks getting 3.5 points on the road going into Pittsburgh. This is the home opener for Pittsburgh. Over under is 40.5. Coming into this one, Aaron Rodgers coming off hot football, 4 touchdown passes in week 1 against the Jets. And Metcalf revenge spot? Johnny, tell us all about it.
I like DK Metcalf today. I've got him in a hand, not a lot. The place I'm going for value in this game actually is Jaylen Warren. I think he might be 5,300, I believe, maybe, on DraftKings, and he was the guy that was getting all the work. So if that's the case and you can kind of move down and get some value as far as from that side of things, I think you have to jump all over that for sure. He's only 2% owned today. JSN is the highest owned player in this game at 14%. No Joey Porter today, I'm pretty sure, for the Steelers. So it means it's going to be Old Man Slay and Jalen Ramsey. I like the Steelers in the spot a lot. I think they do really well with guys like Sam Darnold, guys that they can get after, get some hits on, things like that. And I think we've seen last year how he did not handle the blitz very well when he was in Minnesota. So I like that. I think another thing to keep an eye out on in this game from like a fantasy DFS side of the world is the Zach Charbonnet, Ken Walker piece that's going on right now. Charbonnet, I believe he outsnapped him last week. So I think this will be something that'll be really interesting. And then for the Steelers, man, $200 million defense. This is a game where they're going to have to stop the run. So this is, this is a space that be paying a lot of attention to as far as what the Steelers do or what they don't do against the run game. That's one thing. And then Cooper Kupp last week, for those of you that invested in him, was only targeted on 13.6% of his routes last week. That was the second lowest target percentage for him in his entire career. So that's definitely something to keep an eye out for. And then just Seattle, low-key. Seattle's defense last week. I talked about it a little bit earlier last week. Brock Purdy was the most pressured quarterback in week 1. And so I think it'll be interesting to see if Seattle can bring that same kind of pressure against Aaron Rodgers this week, which I'm pretty sure they will. But will they get home is the bigger question. And how will this Arthur Smith offense continue to look? Jonnu Smith is another guy as well, as far as from a DFS side of things, that you can look into playing at the tight end position, because tight end is really weird this week. Don't ask me. Yeah, it's really weird, but that's a place you can look at. So I would take the over here in this game, and obviously I'll take the Steelers straight up and the points.
I mean, a few things to watch out for as well in this game. You got Seattle where, like you said, they can definitely take pressure. They could apply pressure, I should say. And the biggest thing I think for the Steelers, and the biggest question mark, is the run game. Run game has to get going in this one in order to keep things balanced against this Seattle front seven. You have to really get that run game at least somewhat established, at least respectable enough. So can they do that in this spot? I believe they can. It's just more of the production. Is it going to be a wow production from Jaylen Warren, especially if you're starting him in your season-long leagues? I don't no idea. But I will say that I do think the Steelers come out and win this one at home. It's just more the 3.5 could be very, very close. They probably could cover the 3. It's just I see 3, sometimes 3.5 at some sites. But I do think they could cover it. I'm just not all Seattle to me just doesn't. When they're on the road, they're just a different team sometimes, even this new regime. So I think Pittsburgh is still playing with some hot fire. So I think they'll carry that into this game and win this one. And then JSN for me, we'll talk about him later.
Fair enough.
Going to a somewhat crap game now. Niners going into New Orleans. Over under 40.5. The Niners being as a road favorite at -3. No Brock Purdy, no George Kittle. Mac Jones officially starting for the Niners. And it's going to be a split, probably a tight end between Luke Farrell and Jake Tungs, undrafted tight end out of, I think it was UCLA. 2022 undrafted selection. So we'll see how this all transpires. Look, still got McCaffrey. You'll still have Ricky Pearsall. I believe Juwan Jennings a game time decision for this one. So yeah, like for the Niners side of things, I can understand why they're a -3 fave, but the Saints could be upset alert almost, because if Mac Jones comes out and shows his Mac Jones ugly side, where he throws like 3 interceptions or something, like the Saints could take this one. So the Saints side of things, Spencer Rattler didn't look like so terrible as advertised, because again, he's actually playing with some NFL ready weapons. Versus where he was starting games last year, playing with second and third stringers all around him, including the offensive line. So yeah, look, I think the Saints can come out and win this one. I think this is a game where it's like one of the games of the year where we got a wonky week 2 and they can win this one. The Niners still defensively are still getting things together. So I would say, like, look, give me the Saints, give me the underdog.
Okay, here we go. We live week 2. Let's do it.
Give me the underdog, baby.
Okay.
I think Alvin Kamara was underutilized last week, and there goes my light. He was underutilized last week, and I think they have to get Kamara going in this one. Give Spencer Rattler some easier reads, and give us some nice checkdowns. Utilize him along with Juwan Jennings. See, I did it now. Juwan Johnson. And I think in terms of how the Saints can probably pull this off, I think the Saints just gonna have to check Mac Jones and got to check McCaffrey. Don't let him get too loose in this one.
Yeah, I am not picking the Saints to win. I do agree. I think this game is probably going to end up being closer than we would like if you're taking the 49ers or if you're in any form of survivor pool. And then ironically enough, like the only 2 like warm, live fantasy functioning bodies out there are Christian McCaffrey and Ricky Pearsall. And now we're in a spot where now everybody is now running to Christian McCaffrey, who's almost 30% owned, or projected to be at almost 30% owned. So you have to think it'll be a little bit more than that, probably closer to 35% on DraftKings. I actually like Chris Olave a lot today. I like Alvin Kamara a lot today. And then obviously Ricky Pearsall as well, as far as like from a value side of things. So I think there's definitely a space. And your guy Juwan Jennings, playing him today, playing him with confidence today in this game.
Juwan Jennings, right?
Juwan Johnson. There it goes again. It's Saturday for Juwan Jennings, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go. Juwan Johnson.
I love it.
So I'm playing a lot of those guys as far as DFS goes. Matter of fact, I actually have one lineup that I was just like, you know what? I've said it a million times, so I guess it's just time for me to live it. I have a DFS lineup with Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara, Cedric Tillman, and Harold Fannin. So we'll see how it goes.
What could go wrong?
What could go right? What could go wrong? Right?
What could go wrong? Great. What could
go wrong? So yeah, man, and like I don't think like the Saints, they played Arizona relatively tough last week, and I think like right for the 49ers, we just don't know what we're getting. I just think the 49ers are a better team. I think Kyle Shanahan should still be able to pull this game out. But again, it would absolutely not surprise me. I did take the 49ers straight up, not touching this game from like an over-under side of things or even like a plus-minus, but just straight up, I'll just go ahead and run it with the 49ers.
That's fair enough. That's the safe play. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But I do think this could be a spot where we'd be shocked that the Niners lost? No. So
no.
That's all there is. But
Yeah.
could we be surprised that they just beat down the Saints? No. So, Giants, Cowboys. Yeah,
Ooh.
right? Little NFC showdown, right?
Oh man.
What you got for us in this spot? Your favorite cowgirls, right?
I mean, CD Lamb is actually my favorite play this week on the DFS side of the world. Like he's my favorite play. That's the guy I'm playing in every spot. And if in the lineups where I don't have CD Lamb, obviously I'm pivoting to George Pickens and Jake Ferguson. I don't know. I think this game will be interesting. Like I said it last week, the Giants, like I think they're tougher than what people realize. And this could absolutely be a spot where, Russ could put up some pretty solid numbers. And when I say pretty solid numbers, that could be 240 yards and 3 touchdowns. Not enough to break a slate, but he's, the way he's priced at 5.1K on DraftKings, it could get you there, right? So I think like that's a space, but like, yeah, I love all the pass catchers for the Cowboys. It's pretty hard not to like them. Then you have Javonte Williams coming off his 2-touchdown game from last week. I don't, and I'm not playing a lot of him. I don't even think I might have played him like maybe in one lineup. I think maybe. And again, that's just for his ability to be able to fall into the end zone because it looks like that's what he is for the Dallas Cowboys, and that's what his value is for them in that space. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, they aligned opposite of each other 37 out of the 49 snaps when they were on the field at the same time. So I think, again, like just to put some pressure on the Giants defense, who we talked about last week, has been one of the worst defenses in the NFL when it comes to the deep ball. And George Pickens, it could be a day for him for sure today. So I like a lot of the Cowboy pass catchers, and I'll say it again, CeeDee Lamb is my favorite play on DraftKings. He's my favorite play on FanDuel. I like him in any of his prop situation for sure. I think Dallas showed last week what the formula is. I think they're going to come out and obviously get him the football, but I'm not going to be surprised if they try to find some ways to work George Pickens into a game like this right here and get a little chemistry with Dak Prescott. So don't sleep on him. If you pay up at wide receiver and you want to get a piece of this game, that's a good call. And the same thing with Jake Ferguson as well. So like I said, just give me all the Cowboys pass catchers, and even low key, I'm even playing the Dallas Cowboy defense as well in a couple spots in DFS, just because if you can't play the Cowboys in this space on defense, where can you play them?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, a couple of things to note. No Andrew Thomas for the Giants today, so that makes it even more of a nice spot. But Deron Bland out for the Cowboys at corner. Giants, 17 first downs, averaging 3.7 yards a play. Last week, Washington averaged 6.6 yards. Like, this Giants team now with Andrew Thomas, this doesn't give me any like confidence in the Giants to upset Dallas in this spot. Dallas home opener, they just lost to the Eagles, where they play relatively all right. And so, like, that delay of the rain, or thunderstorm, I should say, and everything just went downhill for both offenses. So, giving the Cowboys a cover. The over-under here, I just don't know how the Giants are going to keep pace in this one. Questionable is Wanda Robinson as well. Like, it's already looking ugly for these New York Giants already. And on top of things defensively, they just lost one of their Micah McFadden, who basically is on IR now with a foot injury. So yeah, just give me the Cowboys minus 4.5. Probably give me the over, because I do think Dallas can just put up 28 points, and then the Giants can somehow make it up, but it can get ugly pretty quickly in this spot. If things go how we anticipate it to go.
100%.
Well, going back to it, the AFC for an AFC East division rivalry. Pats going on the road to Miami, where the Pats are are the slight underdog here going on the road. The over under 43.5, and Miami. So many things already with Miami, and like, how are they the favorite in this one, Johnny? How are they the favorites in this one?
I think they're the favorites in this one just because everybody in this space for the Dolphins has done it before. Like, they've done it before, and it's a home game, and typically I think it's typically about like 3 points what you get for being at home. And then just seeing what happened with the Raiders last week, what the Raiders were able to do to the Pats. I think that's one reason why the Dolphins are just as bad on defense. I know a lot of people, or I've seen a lot of things where Drake May is somebody that a lot of people have liked in this space. So you could maybe get there from the quarterback side of things. I prefer Hunter Henry in this space. That's a guy that I prefer. And then on the Dolphin side of things, Devon Achane, I think this is a great spot for him. Does make me a little bit worried just about what they were able to do with Ashton Genty last week, but I think if there's a spot where Devon Achane can get busy, I think this is a spot. And then just the pass catchers for the Dolphins, like everybody's marked down. Tyreek Hill, 6,400. Jalen Waddle, 5,400. So definitely some spaces there. The Pats traditionally have not played very well in Miami, traditionally. So I think that's another element of this as well. Still no Christian Gonzalez this week, I believe, for the Patriots. So some pass catcher for the Dolphins should be good to go. So either this turns out to be a 17-10 game or either this is a 37-27 game here. But of course, like I've said, I'm not very ecstatic about either one of these teams overall. Drake May last week had his second lowest passer rating against the blitz compared to last year when he had the 11th highest rating. And the Dolphins, we talked about it last week. That's one of the things that they're going to do because they're not a very good defense. So they will be blitzing quite a bit. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. It'll be interesting to see if this is a Keyshawn Booty game or if this is a Stephon Diggs game. And then Travion Henderson, everybody's favorite steam train, got out snapped last week by Ramondre Stevenson. It's true, guy. I mean, like, and I mean, funny. Yeah, like it's granted still early, right? But yeah. Got out snapped by Ramondre Stevenson last week. So now you're in a really tough situation, especially if you spent very high capital on him. Now you have to play him in the running back spot and hope that something productive happens and he doesn't get out snapped. Maybe the only way is maybe if Ramondre puts the ball on the ground or something like that right there. But yeah, I guess like for me, and not even I guess, but for me in this space, I actually did take the Patriots straight up. So I guess I'll have to die on that hill going with the Patriots here because I have absolutely done nothing but trash the Miami Dolphins so far. So I cannot get back on the bandwagon with the Dolphins until they actually win a football game, and then maybe they will change my mind.
Can this be a tie?
Bro, there's a
tie, please.
There's like when I was looking at all these games this week, I'm like, man, like there's some games that are like pretty straightforward, and then there's a lot of them that it's like, oh my god, like this is
rooting for the tie.
Yeah, of course you are, Mr. Jet. Of course you are.
Sure am. Yeah. Rooting for the tie.
Yeah.
Bump both these teams. Anyway, Miami with the biggest thing is going to be the turnovers here for me. Tua just looked ugly. He looked so bad. You see that one interception where he just literally just tossed it right into the linebacker window? Like,
no, because I don't watch the Dolphins because they suck, and I knew that.
Well, I had to watch the tape back a bit to see how this all transpire. But
there's nothing. There's nothing to watch. They're bad. They are bad. They're cool.
Literally drops back into the middle. Literally, he's trying to throw off the linebacker, but for whatever reason, just still throws it in the window. Thinks he's going to beat the throw. Linebacker just comes over and just an easy interception. But again, week one, temper expectations, I guess. But what I will say is that 60% run success rate against the Colts last week was the Dolphins. People aren't talking about that enough. I know, crazy, right?
Bro, you know why? Because they were down by 1,000 points. That's why. I mean, they're down by 1,000 points.
I get it, but it's the numbers. The numbers.
Man, you can make the numbers say anything you want to say. They were down 1,000 points. Like,
no, of course.
Run the ball,
I'm just putting it out there. I just think that and then again, the Patriots holding Gentry to I think it was 39 yards rushing last week, so they did hold him. So
yeah, so if we talk about that, I'm cool. I like that.
Hey yo, what I will say though is that Miami has an opportunity to bounce back. It's a division game. Anything can happen. You already know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that being said, I'm true for the tie. Moving on.
Wow, you're gonna give me shit about not watching film on Tua Tagovailoa, and you won't pick a winner in this game?
Nah, you already know I'm not picking a winner in that one. I hope for the tie. Bills and the Jets. Going back to another AFC situation. Bills getting -6.5 going into MetLife to take on the Jets. Over under 47.5. Obviously, you could take this one away because I'll be talking more about the Jets in this one. No, I'm kidding. But Josh Allen obviously looking like the king of all kings at QB last week with that tremendous comeback against Ravens last week. And for Josh Allen, these Bills, you just never know like who's gonna be able to make plays with this offense because it's always so it doesn't matter if it's Josh Palmer up now in the fold, Kincaid, whatever. All these guys came up, balled out, showed up. For the Jets side of things, Justin Fields, loses to the Steelers last week in a close one. And Justin Fields in this offense looked better than advertised, right? Most people thought that because we didn't have a secondary option, that the Jets weren't going to be able to hang any points up like that. So it just feels going to look like a bum, which everybody thought he looked like in the offseason where, he missed that throw. See, it's like, relax. Relax preseason. But with Justin Fields, I do expect this game to – the 47.5 just seems a bit high, don't you think? For a division game, for a spot like this. Obviously, I know the Bills could put up points at any moment, and the Jets expected to hang. Give me the Jets plus 6.5. Do you think the defense, no Ed Oliver today for the Bills, which is going to be something I want to, he was one of their best, pass rushers last week, creating havoc. So I do think that in terms of, the Jets taking opportunity to hang on this one makes sense. I think people are taking too much notion into how Breece Hall and this is and the third. I expect Breece Hall to get going in this one today. It's Bills because, again, this offensive line was showcased better than it was as well. So give me the Jets plus 6.5. And over under, man, that 47.5 is tough. Give me the slight under on that.
Okay. All right. See, actually, this is a space for me this week where Breece Hall is my favorite running back play this week in DFS. And Justin Fields is not going to say I guess he would be my favorite play because I'm probably playing him more than any other quarterback. So I'm actually leaning into what I seen last week with the Jets. Justin Fields has always been a really relevant fantasy quarterback for sure. Obviously, we know about his mobility. You just talked about the passing aspect of things. I think this is going to be a tough game for the Buffalo Bills. So I'm leaning into what I've seen with the Jets last week. And then the other thing, too, is Breece Hall in both of his games against the Jets at home when he's at MetLife. He's eclipsed over 100 yards in both of those games for sure. So I'm just going to lean into what I seen last week with the Bills and the Jets. Breece Hall is coming in at like 8% owned on DraftKings, and so Justin Fields is coming in at about 6%. So I'm just leaning into it, man. That's what I'm doing. So not a lot of games today in the 4:00 window, and this is a game where obviously I look at it through both lenses. I think like if you feel like the Bills are going to win this game, talked about it in the preseason, Breece Hall is the guy that's on the field catching passes. If it's a competitive game, then Breece Hall is still going to be in the game. I think obviously it's the goal line work, which everybody's favorite hype train, Braylon Allen last week, 1 touchdown and I think maybe like 4 yards or some craziness like that right there. So yeah. I think like the one thing like about the Jets, like from a DFS side of things that like just for people to be mindful of, ironically enough, very similar to what we used to have with the Dolphins, where everything was funneled. You knew where the ball was going. It used to just be, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and whoever was playing running back for them. The Jets are in a very similar situation. It's Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. That's where the ball is going, and obviously Justin Fields. So when you have that concentrated work like that, I think it kind of takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. It's not a lot of sharing that's going on. So like I said, I'm leaning into this game, man. I'm going to go the over. I did take Buffalo to win the game straight up.
Fine.
So I'll stand on that as well with Buffalo to win the game. Probably I'm not going to take any points in this situation. I would just take the over and straight, like I said, straight up, like I would take the Bills. And another thing too, man, like the Bills, one of the things that happened last week for the Jets held the Steelers to 2.7 rushing yards per attempt last week. So I think like we'll get a little bit of clarity for both of our teams. And if James Cook is, if he's a relevant play today, if the Jets hold the Bills to 2.7 yards, then obviously we know Superman is going to have to come out of the booth as far as Josh Allen goes, right? So there's that. And then again, just to see like the Bills, even though they won the game last week, Derrick Henry gave them work. And Lamar gave them work in certain spaces. So I think this is very similar to what they just seen last week. So week 2, I'm not overthinking it. I'm just going with what I've seen. And what I seen was a Jets offense that looks a hell of a lot better than what people actually thought it was going to be. So let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's just where it is. I think, if we hold them to 2.7 yards per carry, that'd be nuts. But I don't expect that. I expect Josh Allen to still somewhat do his thing in terms of, at least from the rushing yards category. It will just be more about these third down stops, if we can get those in those situations, and, again, converting those into scoring on the other side to keep Buffalo behind. But we'll just see what it is, and we'll find out when we get back on this show later today.
Yes, sir.
Jags Bengals, probably the highest over-under on the slate. I'm seeing at 48, seeing at 49 over-under. Jags are getting plus 3.5 going on the road to Cincy. And in this game, right, there's a lot of ways you can look at this from a DFS side of things, right? So Juwan Jennings going through pregame warmups as usual, so he's probably going to be playing, just as a side note. But in terms of, the Jags, right, Travis Hunter expected to play a little bit more to defense this week, so this could mean an opportunity for, Brian Thomas to literally dominate usage this week. And in a spot where they're going to be playing from behind, 6,700 on DraftKings is probably the sharing spot, right? In a spot where we talked about Brian Thomas, where Trevor Lawrence and this, that, and third, they don't feel like they have the rapport. They don't have like the I'm going to, continually throw to my wide receiver one consistently, because Travis Hunter was getting a lot of the underneath stuff last week. So this opens up an opportunity for Denami Brown, 4,200 on DraftKings as well. I think with the Jacksonville side of things, if we're looking to get a little bit different, this is a spot where they can just be throwing from behind constantly. But obviously, Cincy will be the chalk, right? Burrow, Chase, Higgins, Chase Brown, and whatever tight end for Cincy you probably think. Noah Fant, Mike Gesicki, whatever. But in terms of, this is a spot where I like to call, it could be an onslaught spot where it's like, you got at least like 4 pieces of this game and you put them all in one lineup. So you could, even Travis Etienne, it's 5,700. You can put a lot of pieces in this game where it should be high scoring, should be a high shootout game, in hopes that, even though, most, I think people were probably onslaught this game too, but I would think in terms of, from a strategy perspective, if you're trying to kind of GPP and this is the highest scoring one and it goes over, you're looking at least the competitive spots to go over. But I would say both of these defenses, like, Jacksonville was better last week against Carolina. Carolina just didn't show up. I felt from all point, for before the delay, and especially after, they just didn't show up to play football. Right. And the Bengals, again, very narrow game against Cleveland last week. But like you said earlier, got torched. Oh, so hold on. Speaking of Cleveland, Judkins expected to play 10 to 15 snaps today. I don't know. Whenever someone says that, means that they probably want to potentially try to get him a little bit more. But we'll see. But in terms of, this whole game environment, Cincy, their defense is still, like I said, they got trashed, like you said earlier, by, Fannin. And, so the intermediates in the middle of that field should be a lot open when it comes to, Cincy playing their zone defenses. But I will say, give me Cincy. I think they'll cover the 3.5. So the minus 3.5 in this one, obviously. And, being at home, Cincy, they have a lot of, playoff aspirations. So if they don't blow, I feel like if they don't get a double-digit win in this spot, it's going to be something where we're going to be talking about the Cincy defense all year long as like the Achilles heel for them if they don't do it in a spot like this.
Yeah, I think Cincinnati's defense might be in trouble again. Last week, they generated 0 pressures on 15 dropbacks in the first half against the Browns. That's the only game that they did not generate pressure in the first half in 5 seasons. On top of that, the Bengals had the lowest explosive play rate in a game during week 1 since 2023. So they just played a really bad game. I think defensively, I think that's kind of what we expect. I think offensively, right, like they're going to put points up on the board. One thing, man, it's wild about like a lot of these like DFS spots is like it's always like it's never the game that you think it's gonna be. Like it's all like, and this is a very highly publicized game as far as DFS, like any game that the Bengals are in, is that. But I would say like if the Bengals aren't able to get pressure on Trevor Lawrence, then like yeah, like I think like the Jaguar side, you mentioned it, like absolutely. Um, and I like Travis Etienne today. I like him a lot, for sure in his space that
On
he's
the
at.
cheap.
Yeah,
Cheap.
10% on. I think it's not a way to get different, right? But it's a way to get a piece of this game for
Right.
sure. I think Jamar Chase, anytime you put up a stinker like that, he's almost bound to come out and ball out today. Like I have zero doubts about that. And the way that I've had a few of my lineups constructed, I have been able to get CD Lamb and Jamar Chase in those lineups by having some Browns and by having some Saints in there. So if it pops, it's going to be a great day. But yeah, like I like Jamar Chase today. He's coming in at almost 18% on, which I expect that to probably be closer to 25% by the time kickoff starts. Chase Brown again is the most owned player in this game, which I could see why at 6.8. If the Bengals get up, obviously he's probably going to be the guy, and even if not, like he's still going to be used in the passing game. So Brenton Strange is another guy too, like on the Jaguar side of things, like, right, like if you want to get a slice of that at the tight end position, because again, just continuing to talk about how bad tight end is this week outside of Trey McBride, that's a place that you can get to it and maybe and maybe get some, I don't want to call them garbage points, but at 3.6K on DraftKings, he could easily return his value in that space, which could help you get to some of those higher end players like I was talking about, like a CD Lamb and Jamar Chase. I think the Jags keep it close. I did pick the Bengals to win this game straight up, but I do think the Jags keep it close. So I would take the Jags in the points, but I'll take the Bengals straight up though.
Yeah, that's understandable. I just think again, Bengals they've had playoff aspirations. What you do with teams like this is that you go out there and be like, all right, offensive onslaught, it's Chase, it's Pagans, it's we go crazy. And this should be the spot. And if it's not the spot, like I said, I have a tough time kind of keeping Cincinnati on that, like, oh, they're gonna be a playoff team for sure. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So but yeah, definitely ETN 5,700 like seems to be a spot where you could like trust him, obviously with the trade now for Tank Bigsby going to Philly. Like this should be a spot where I believe I'll be changing, but make sure I get ETN probably in my lineup because he can do it from a rushing side of things and a receiving side of things. So Rams Titans. Rams getting the 5.5 on the road to Tennessee. This is a spot where this screams like this. I mean, look, the Titans last week, they probably played the best defense last week in week 1 and on the road and with a rookie quarterback. So Cam Ward obviously has to showcase that he's better. But what I will say is that this Titans defense only allowed Knicks to throw for 176 yards last week on 40 pass attempts. So this Titans defense is something where I think definitely goes underrated. Jeffrey Simmons, he can always create pressure. And I know this like secondary with us, L'Jarius Sneed, you know what I'm saying, Roger McCray, like both these guys could definitely play football at the cornerback positions. I've watched them before, dating back to last year, and they can keep games ugly for opposing offenses. So this is a spot where I do like Tennessee plus 5.5. Probably crazy. I do think that the Rams may just, again, with Stafford, like we'll really see if this back injury is going to be something more to watch out for. This offensive line last week, although, again, they had their struggles, but it was still something where I'm like, Adams did his, Adams and Puka Nacua do their thing. But it's like if the Titans find themselves in a situation where they create pressure on Stafford and they can get a turnover or two, this game can change. And I think Cam Ward and Calvin Ridley, they have better matchups this week. And I think the Rams defense is definitely solid too. But I do think that the Titans 5 plus 5.5 seems like again probably the biggest trap game on the board right now. So as far as for the as far, especially a road favorite minus 5.5. Like, this is probably the biggest track game of the week.
I think from like a betting side of things, it feels a little trappy. I think like from like a real life football perspective, I think the Rams still win the game. I think we see a better game from Cam Ward this week. I don't know if the Titans can keep pace with the Rams, and I say that just because of what the Rams are defensively. The Rams defensively, like very young, still underrated. In my eyes, they are. And I'm not a Titans truther, but I'm a Cam Ward truther, and they are taking the right steps. And Cam, like for all things considered, man, he looked as good as you could want him to look against a defense like that in Denver last week. So I know the stats like didn't say it, but the film actually said that. Like the film said that. Like I would rather watch Cam Ward on film than Tua Tagovailoa for sure, for various reasons. But I I think the Rams win the game for sure. I think that number. I agree with you. I think that number is a little bit too high for the Rams to be a road favorite. I do agree with you there. DFS side of the world, Puka Nakua, almost 19% right now. And then Kyron Williams at almost 18. And then, like you said, man, like the Titans, like Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard, right? 12, 13% respectively. The player that I got that I snuck two players in my lineups in this game here, and that was Kyron Williams and Devontae Adams. I snuck both of those guys into my DFS lineups. Tay last week, I was expecting a little bit more from him. Didn't really see it from him last week. So we'll see how that goes here as far as week 2. He was only targeted. He was targeted two times on his 6 routes last week as far as man coverage goes, and it was only 27 yards. I think the other thing too is like with the Rams, if there's points to be scored, and they're in the red zone, it's either going to be from Kyron Williams or Devontae Adams. Like that's just the reality of the situation. Unless Puka Nakua can I don't want to say break one, but can have a big play. And I think just McVay, man, like he's again like one of the best coaches in the league, and I think this is just a spot where it's tight. This is what happens with the Rams a lot of times is these games are close. And they still find some way collectively on how to win. So I'll take the Rams straight up. I'll take the Rams straight up. And then if I'm messing with over, under, or the points, like I said, I think I'll take the Titans and the points. Because to your point, I think like that number is just a little bit aggressive. So I expect for this game to be a lot closer probably than most people.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, look, I think Cam Ward is going to showcase that he's a little bit better in this spot. But yeah, I think the plus 5.5 is the spot for me. The over is something that could be sneaky at 40.5. Especially if we think, the Titans are going to have any shot at keeping this game close. So give me the slight over on this one. I think it should be 42.5. But it's at 40.5 in the moment. All right, going to a game that like is really, I don't know. It's going to be weird. The Panthers and the Cardinals. Panthers getting 6.5, plus 6.5 on the road going into Arizona. And Arizona fresh off the week 1 win against the Saints, where they took care of business. Over under 44.5. And with Murray versus Bryce Young, like, man, these are two quarterbacks that are just so inconsistent. In terms of how they play. Like at one moment in time, we'll see Murray do his thing. The next moment, he won't. And it's same thing with Bryce Young. You think he's on a run, and then all of a sudden, he's not. So, Johnny, break down this game in terms of how you see it.
The way I see it is I'm not shying away from anybody on the Arizona side of things. I'm not shying away from Kyler Murray. I'm not shying away from James Conner, Trey McBride, or Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm not shying away from any of those guys. I think if we take a look at anything from last week, right, one of the teams we just talked about, the Jaguars, they were able to do some work in that game. So I think like this is a spot where even if it's not Kyler Murray, maybe it's James Conner. I know Trey Benson has got a lot of run last week. So I think you can pick your poison as far as it goes. But like, I wouldn't be shocked if James Conner comes out today, has 130 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns in this game. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest fashion. It also wouldn't surprise me to see Kyler Murray come out and maybe go for 275 yards and 3 touchdowns. Wouldn't surprise me at all. So like, I don't think it's a weird game. I think it's just a space where people have aspirations for Ted McMillan, and was hoping to see a little bit better showing from him. I shouldn't say a little bit better showing, but a little bit better showing from Bryce Young. That didn't happen. Chuba Hubbard is still in play, 100,000,000% for sure. Because if the Panthers win this game, he's gonna have to have a huge role in this game. So like, this isn't like, it's just a spot for me where like, I don't like the Panthers pass catchers. I like Chuba Hubbard. I like
Chuba Hubbard.
Chuba Hubbard. I like him. And anybody, like any of the pass catchers for the Cardinals. Marvin Harrison Jr., 5% own. Just call that out. Kyler Murray, almost 3% own. So again, you have your 2 mobile quarterbacks, down from Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen. If you did your fantasy drafts, those were 2 guys that you kept an eye on, was Kyler Murray and Justin Fields. Those guys are both going at a significant discount today, in my opinion. So I'm not afraid of Kyler Murray. The Cardinals is also a nice team defense to have. If you picked them up last week in your season-long leagues, that's great, because last week they had New Orleans. This week they get Carolina. And from a DFS side of things, crazy enough, they are only 2.34% owned in the DFS space, going against the Carolina Panthers out in the desert. So I don't think it's weird.
2,400. I can see why.
But I don't think there's anything weird. I think it's just like, hey man, one of the biggest things like we have to all do, right, is like take the information that's in front of us, take what we've seen. And I think this is just a space where I'm just taking what I've seen, and the Cardinals are better than the Panthers.
Yep. No doubts about that. From a betting perspective, give me James Conner anytime touchdown, -145. It's not an official bet, but Conner has a way of finding the end zone. So to the 4:00 games we go. Broncos on the road going to Indianapolis. Broncos are a slight -2.5 favorite going into Indy, and over under 43.5. Obviously, speaking of what we saw, right? Denver really putting on a defensive showcase in week 1 against the Titans. But will they do that against Daniel Jones, Johnny? Will they do that against, Vanilla Vic?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Listen, you know what I'm going to start doing? You just made me just spark this idea. Is every time the Dolphins are playing somebody, until they win a game, I'm just going to start giving players just like straight nicknames. So Drake May today, May 10, Mac 10. Let's do it. Mac 10 out of respect for Mac Jones today. But yeah, like I think the Broncos smother the Colts today. I know the Colts are at home. Last year though, Jonathan Taylor, he had that big game. And I'm pretty sure that was the game that he lost the ball on the big breakaway run. And the ball got knocked out of the end zone. I think the Colts ended up losing the game. But I just think I think Denver, I like them a lot better defensively. I think they should obviously be able to generate some pressure. Offensively, Bo Nix last week, that was a little bit scary. It was a little bit scary. It's a little bit shaky just from his performance side of things. And I think, like you mentioned it, the amount of pass attempts he had. So maybe this is a spot where he can get right, just in some respect. And when I say get right, maybe it's 240 yards and a pair of touchdowns or something like that. One of the players that I do like a lot in this game is Cortland Sutton. Like, I like him a lot in this game. I think this is a space where I think I actually plugged him into one of my – he can find the end zone or grab 100 yards or some combination of both of those with the Colts. So, yeah, like I like that. And I think obviously like another thing to keep an eye on is like the R.J. Harvey, J.K. Dobbins situation. R.J. Harvey – He ripped off that 50-yard run last week against the Titans, but J.K. Dobbins got a lot of the work there. Michael Pittman, God bless him. He's probably going to see Patrick Surtain So God bless
Yeah.
him.
Yikes.
So yeah, God bless him. And even if not, right? Like last week, I know he wasn't targeted a whole heck of a lot. I think he was only targeted one time last week over the 34 pass attempts, I think, for Cam Ward. So teams are going to stay away from him. Vanilla Vic goes back to Daniel Jones this week. Yeah, and then like obviously like the other thing like to keep in mind, like because I do think like there is obviously one equalizer for the Colts, and that's your guy Tyler Warren. I'm interested to see
Yeah.
how it goes with him this week just in this
Same.
matchup. We'll see how it goes. And I don't want to go back too far, but maybe I'm tripping. I don't think I am, but I feel like some of Daniel Jones's better years with the Giants might have been when he had Evan Ingram was there. I know one of the years he actually had he had two decent years with the Giants. And I know one of those years I feel like was early on with Evan Ingram. So maybe it's a very similar situation, but I don't have a lot. I don't even know if I have any Tyler Warren in my DFS lineups to think about. But I think the Broncos handle business here in this space. I'm going to go the under in this game only because I just feel like Denver's defense will show up and show out. And I don't know if the Colts have enough firepower per se to stand toe to toe with the Broncos in this space and to get over.
I think there's enough here to under the radar get on the over. I expect the Broncos to cover in this spot. Normally, when you have road favorites, you want them to have a solid defense at least, and Denver obviously has that. They have the pieces to definitely match up with the Colts. Both, we talked about it in the offseason. We talk about it once again. Denver still has one of the best, along with the Eagles, in my opinion, best line of scrimmage, in terms of offense and defense lines. So, yeah, man, give me the Broncos. Want them, take them to cover. I'll take the over as well because I do think that the Colts will find a way to, somewhat just stay competitive in this one long enough. And Bo Nix, I'm expecting a better game from Bo Nix, right? Like we just talked about with the Titans overview, like 176 passing yards. No, Bo Nix got to be a lot better for his upcoming, so-called sophomore season, right? Because we don't need a sophomore slump at this spot. So this is a nice little early test for him against a team that we think that they should relatively go out there and beat. So definitely agree with the analysis here in terms of how we see it. To the big game in this spot, in this 4:00 window, Eagles Chiefs, right? Talk about some things that are going to be unprecedented if it happens, if the Eagles win this spot. Eagles are 15-0 in the last 15 games when Hurts starts and finishes the game. The Mahomes has never had a 3-game loss, 3 games in a row losses in his career. He's also never started a season when he was 0-2. So this is something that's going to be like really interesting either way. Obviously, Super Bowl rematch. You know what happened with that? The Eagles, smacked those cheeks of the 2-time champs. So look, this is a spot where I'm just going to take the Eagles. The Eagles are just, I feel like throughout the positions right now, it's just there. It's like we talk about the Super Bowl again. I think the Chiefs' offensive line showed that they were a bit better than they were last year. But again, the Eagles, they have a rotation of weapons that keep coming at you at different phases of the game, whether that just be the offensive side of things or just the defense. Jalen Carter is going to play this game. Can you believe that? Can you believe that Jalen Carter is going to play this game? I thought he was going to at least going to be suspended at least one game. But because obviously spitting on Dak Prescott and stuff like that. But give me the Eagles in the spot. And it's just because I just think offensive line once again just better. I think the weapons offense better. It's unfortunate that Rashee Rice is not playing this game. It's unfortunate that Xavier Worthy might play. He was in and out of practice this week. I
think I seen something.
I think it's a long shot.
I think I seen something that said he was just actually out yesterday. But
okay,
yeah.
But I would say even if he is in the game, it's who knows? Because I'm just trying to figure out how the Chiefs are going to win this game. I mean, the only thing is that the refs will come into play.
Oh hell, here we go. Don't even start that. Don't even go there. Don't even go there. Oh my God. Who is this guy? This guy is not taking ties. He's taking ties today. Talking about the refs. Who are you? What have you done? What have you done with my dude, man? What's going on?
I gotta keep it interesting.
Jeez.
I gotta keep it interesting. Can't be the same all the time.
Oh man. Yeah, I just think like the Chiefs, the refs. Man, you look like the refs, man. What in the world?
Hey, Jesus, all right. Man, you look good. You look good. Thanks.
No, I just think like, right, I think what we've seen from the Chargers and the Chiefs in that game, I think the Eagles obviously, I don't want to say it's a very similar profile defensively, but I think the Eagles are better defensively than the Chargers are, and the Chiefs it was tough sledding with them. I think like the Chiefs, like they don't have a run game right now. Isaiah Pacheco was not it last Friday in Brazil. He wasn't it. It's only Hollywood Brown, so obviously no Xavier Worthy, no Rashee Rice. So it's Hollywood Brown and Travis Kelce. No run game. Offensive line was being banged up. I think the Eagles also, I think probably when they turned on that Dallas film and seen the product that they put out there, I think they knew that like, okay, like it's got to get better. It's got to get better. And every team in the league, I think we all know the old adage, every team in the league is gunning for you in that space after you win a Super Bowl, especially the team that you beat in the Super Bowl. So, but from a DFS side of the world, man, like I have a lot, I shouldn't say a lot, but Jalen Hurts is a guy, of course, I'm getting there with him. Hollywood Brown is super popular, 17%. AJ Brown, 9%. I think the entire world is waiting on a bounce back game from him. And at 6,600 on DraftKings, that's a really nice price for him. In my opinion, I think that's a really nice price for him. And then just another place too, like if you really, as far as your bills go, Grant Calcaterra? I think that's
there you go.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there we go, man. Look at me. 2.5 free square. And I'm pretty sure in one of the lineups that I ran, I just ran like a little, I don't want to say a stack, but a pairing with Hurts and him. Because I do think, again, like if the Eagles are going to win this game, like Jalen Hurts is going to have to be a big component of it. I still stand on it. I thought this at the beginning of the season. I'll continue to keep saying it throughout the course of the year. Jalen Hurts is my QB1, 101 overall. So I think this is a spot where he'll be able to go out and showcase that the same way that he did last year in the Super Bowl. So I like that. I think obviously for the Chiefs, last year the game plan, they slowed down Saquon Barkley last year. So and that didn't work. So I'll be curious to see what the game plan is for the Chiefs this week against Jalen Hurts. But overall, I like the Eagles. I'm not exactly doing cartwheels about the over just because I think these are two.
You're not really doing good cartwheels?
Not doing cartwheels, man. No, not doing cartwheels. Not doing cartwheels. I think this is just a spot that, like, I think, right, like in the grand scheme of things, right, like these are two good football teams. The Chiefs aren't as good as the Eagles. So I know we did this last February and said under, and then the Eagles just came out and just absolutely took the belt to that ass of the Chiefs. So, I'm still going to go the under, and I'm just going to go with the Eagles.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's just one of those things where I'm just not sure how the Chiefs are going to do it. Can they do it? Can they do it? Yeah, because they have the Super Bowl pedigree in them. But I know Andy Reid. I know he's just look at this game, and I know he's going to do everything, obviously, it can to get this one. I just feel like that the Eagles are just going to find a way to get this one done. And that's all there is to it. So, again, yeah, we are going to the prop shop where things didn't fare out as well as I wanted to go last week. We went 3-5 last week. That's the overall record heading into week 2. Excuse me. So I got 4 core bets for us once again, betting for week 2. So we're going to dive right into that one. Do you have anything you want to add to this before I go?
I have not thrown out. I haven't got a chance to like put up any props or anything like that or any bets yet. Bit was pretty much working on like my daily picks, my DFS picks all morning long. So I had that
that is pool picks for the bar.
Well, that and my survivor league as well. So yeah, man, like I think the world should know, man. I'm a gambling man,
Who is your stamp? Who is your stampified of Johnny Marable approval for lock of the week? Tell people to put their money on.
In my survivor pool, I took 6 picks and I gave two of them to my daughters. My youngest daughter is out. My oldest daughter, her lock this week is the Detroit Lions. I was like, okay, all right. But my other 4 remaining, I have Denver, Pittsburgh, Arizona, and Dallas. Are the 4 that I have straight up, which I don't think really is a giant shock to anybody. So, if you want to feel free to parlay those 4 teams, why not? I think those are pretty. But I feel very comfortable and confident about those picks.
Okay. I think Denver would be my lock of the week out of all those. I do like those other spots too. I mean, obviously now no Andrew Thomas for the Giants today, so that's even more Dallas where it's like, all right, like that could definitely be a spot where people can lock on. But I'm just going to take Denver. I just think that I'm not going to say Daniel Jones going to get exposed per se, but he just won't be as I really don't think he's going to have the likelihood of him having a game that he had again last week. I don't see it. So, but awesome. We will move on to the core 4 bets of the week. So first one I got for you is a line that has moved around obviously since the Dallas Goedert news, and that's Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith over 62.5 receiving yards. I have him. I got him at plus money on DraftKings at for 70 yards. So you can take that as well. I'm not sure if it's still plus money anymore, but it's something where over 62.5 receiving yards. Devontae Smith. In his career versus Chiefs, this includes regular season and playoffs. He has averaged 97 yards in all these performances, a total of 390 receiving yards. Now no Dallas Goedert in this spot makes it even more nicer. So again, I took the plus money at 70, but you can feel free to take it to 62.5. I found that on DraftKings. Jackson Smith-Njigba over 5.5 catches and against Pittsburgh, where we know I'm not expecting Jalen Ramsey to shadow him, but even if he is, Pittsburgh loves to play single high coverages. So that should still leave underneath things for JSN. Obviously, he looked very explosive last week, 9 catches, 124 yards receiving. So I'm just going with that. And for Seattle to stay in this game, like they'll have to continue trucking the football because I'm not sure how they're going to run the ball against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Next thing, same game. Aaron Rodgers over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers has looked hot, right? I'm going to continue to ride that hot wave in terms of that. I just don't know how the Steelers are going to be able to run the football against Seattle, and that should just leave for Aaron Rodgers to, how they're going to put up the points is, him to probably Metcalf at least once or twice. And I do think that Aaron Rodgers should get this one done in terms of from the passing touchdown perspective. Last one I got, Caleb Williams, over 27.5 rush yards. This line has moved up a few more yards depending on the book. I got this at 27.5 on DraftKings. And Caleb Williams, dating back to last year, he had 38 yards. 38 yards rushing in the spot last against Detroit. I just think in order to keep things balanced, we saw it in week 1 against the Vikings, where the scramble plays are going to have to come into play for Caleb if they're not able to run the ball efficiently early on. So I do think that Caleb Williams is going to be able to find his spots to run the football and get us over the line. So looking to go 4-0 in these spots. I had an honorable mention, and the only other one I had a few others, but this one really made more sense the more and more I thought about it. And that was Denami Brown over 31.5 receiving yards. In a spot where we think that the Jags and Bengals, they're showcased to be the highest over/under spot in the slate. In terms of where we see fit, and the Jaguars most likely playing from behind, with Travis Hunter potentially getting more snaps at cornerback. That should lead to Nami Brown more playing the slot role and being able to at least, if he's not able to get a few catches in the middle of the field, able to take a nicer one as longer shot downfield. So if you like the longest reception better, sure. I believe that was 14.5 when I looked at it last or something like that. But yeah, Nami Brown would be like the honorable mention. Didn't make the official core four. But he's someone that, you want to throw a little bit of money at, sure. And technically the other one I saw, which was a little bit cheap, honestly, like really cheap, in terms of the Eagles-Chiefs game, but that was Jahan Dotson. Because in a spot where, again, Dallas Goedert's out, I do think that Jahan Dotson has an opportunity to at least be, like you said about Grant Calcaterra, like same thing. I think these guys that are getting lower, 15 yards receiving for Jahan Dotson when he had 59 last week, like I think Jahan Dotson is someone that is at its honorable mentions. But once again, not an official play. It won't be going on record if it hits, but something just to keep in mind.
He had a big play in the Super Bowl too.
Sure did. Sure did.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is going to wrap us up for this, this overall segment. We are live after the afternoon games end. So we'll be talking some quick analysis, some recapping of the games, what we like for Sunday Night Football as well, between the Falcons and the Vikings. So feel free to check back in for that. And Johnny, any final thoughts before we let the people go?
No, man. Just out here just trying to get some player props in, man. There's some good lines out here. I hadn't really just listening to you take your props. I was like, all right, we'll see what we got out here. There's some good ones out here, man. So I'll probably throw a Hail Mary or two, man, out there from the prop side and then get busy on the live side. But other than that, just as I would tell anybody else, make sure you have your Sunday night and Monday night players out of your flex spots. Two Monday night games this week. So just make sure you're aware of that. But other than that, man, may your Sunday be profitable. May it be great. May you win all of your matchups, unless you were going against me. And then second place is what I hope you finish in.
I can't with you. You're going to say it every week, yo.
Hey, man, that's what it is.
It's part of your slogan now. All right.
Yeah, trademarks and taglines, baby. They just happen naturally,
I love it, yo. People, we'll see you guys later after the afternoon games. We out.
Peace.